Hello and welcome to the Roundtable podcast. Today we are joined by my three good friends and fellow warriors of Gloucestershire. So today we're going to start off with first talking about Leo's brand new product. He's made it himself, so Leo, why don't you tell us a bit about
that? Hi. So I'm just launching a new product on my account called Foundside Forge. You look it up on Instagram. I've recently launched a bottle opener. Hang on a second.
Yeah, so what was the kind of process that went into making it? It looks gorgeous, I must say, as well.
Thank you. It's quite a simple process. Just kind of drawing out the steel and then put a good twist in it, and then making the handle shape and the bottle opener. Yeah. I will hopefully have a video up soon on my YouTube channel of the process itself.
Oh, that would be awesome. We should definitely get recording that at some point. Yeah, it's awesome. I personally have used it to crack open a few beers, and it works. 5 stars, definitely. So yeah. So what's it like doing the blacksmithing?
Amazing.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. I got it sitting on my shelf.
It's like there's average bottle openers, of course. But then this is just style. You're going with style here, and it's hit it. It has literally hit every point you need.
It is genuinely the perfect bottle opener, you know? Plus it's quite weighty, so you can use it for home defense.
You ever need a conversation starter? Whip out that bottle opener.
Exactly. That's why it's a perfect start to this podcast. So,
Thank
also,
you.
Leo, what's it like doing the blacksmithing? What's it like, running Foundside Forge?
I have looked at it on the Instagram and I like the look of it. But one of the things I like is the big loop. Now, I fidget with things. One of the things I do is I like to swing things in my hand. So it looks perfect for that sort of thing. As well as that, because it looks so nice. And as somebody said, it's a bit of a conversation opener. I think that would really suit in some situations, having something which looks good, that's something you can fidget with. Especially for me, I fidget all the time.
Yeah, that was one of the main inspirations for it, really. It's just something you can mess around with, and it's something to talk about, something to, crack open a couple of beers, just have a good time.
That it is perfect for, I can guarantee that. And also with the fidgeting, as you said, Oren, yeah, it is perfect for that as well. I'm sitting here right now spinning it in my finger. as you were talking about that, I'm actually fidgeting with it right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, my best fidget toy is my keys.
Yeah. So, Leo,
speaking of which, I've also got a key ring coming soon as well.
Oh, yeah, be on the lookout for that then.
Key ring. If you have any design images, send them to me. I want to see that. I want to get a sneak peek of it.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to leave that alone.
Yeah, I'd love to. So keep an eye out for that on the Foundside Forge. Links in the description, of course. So, I actually haven't asked this. What made you come up with the name Foundside Forge? Was it just a spur of the moment, or was there something to it?
Well, in all honesty, it's just something what I thought rolled off the tongue well.
It does.
And it was just something fun, and the whole idea of the company and the feeling behind it is I want to capture that whole idea of classic medieval vibes, that the feel of medieval tavern or medieval blacksmith, quite natural, down to earth,
Yeah, that it is. It looks gorgeous, and it will work with any cosplay. And I'm definitely going to be bringing not only all of your fantastical creations that you give me straight to Fantasy Forest, that's for sure. Especially this bottle opener. Oh, it's going to look so good on like a leather belt or something, I got to say.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's going to be good.
I see a lot of especially at my reenactment club with Napoleonic stuff, a lot of the women have little sort of key chains with lots of little stuff on, like a pair of scissors, a little stopwatch, and other little tidbits like that. And I think I really like the rustic sort of carbon steel look of it. And I feel like for somebody who perhaps in the reenactment scene wants something that might fit in with genuine historical reenactment, it is something that could actually fit into that, which I think is great.
Yeah,
it definitely does lend itself well to that classic blacksmithing techniques.
Yeah.
Because a lot of modern day products, like forged products, they're like nice and polished and stuff, which looks great.
Yeah.
But if you want that like more rough feeling, the more natural, that's definitely the more process I lean towards.
Yeah, and you can see that it looks like it's been lovingly crafted in some like medieval blacksmith and has been transported from there right into my hands. It's gorgeous, genuinely, and the steel looks amazing as well.
Yeah, it's not a long process either. It takes about 30 minutes to complete, really. And yeah, it's just a fun little thing I'm starting.
Yeah, and what's craziest about it is not only that you do it in such fast time, but also how professional it actually looks. Because you haven't been blacksmithing for very long either, and
No, I've been
looks
in the
amazing.
craft for just about a year, but I've been teaching with a company for about 5 months now.
Yeah, hopefully teaching them not to burn their hands, of course.
Hopefully not. No, do not speak of that.
We don't speak about that little event. No.
No.
Don't want to tarnish your blacksmithing.
That was you? Oh wow!
Oh yeah, I've told Oren about it. I'm sorry.
I just remember Archie mentioning it in lesson one time, and his mate put his hand on hot steel, and it's like that scene from the Vikings when the monks like trying to figure out it when the monk's flexing that he could walk across the road with like burning hot irons. Like the first thing he does is just drop it because it scorches his hands.
Yeah, it's not a fun experience. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely recommend it.
No, being there wasn't fun either. Being the witness, no.
The ironic part, though, is I was just explaining to you the concept between cold steel, like when steel, when it's not glowing anymore, it still is at temperatures of like 400 to 600 degrees. And I was just finished explaining that, and then I grabbed just the wrong bit of steel, and it all went downhill from there.
Yeah, but now you got a bigger bucket.
At least you're okay.
Yeah, it's all good now. No permanent damage.
Yeah, that is good.
Apart from your dignity.
Yeah, apart from the dignity.
Yes, especially if someone keeps telling the story.
Yeah.
Story's never going to stop.
Who would spread that story? Come on.
I don't know who would do that.
No, I would never do such a thing.
Seems kind of disrespectful to me.
I kept you anonymous, though. In my defense, it was completely anonymous.
You could be one of the best blacksmiths in the world, making some of the finest things in the world, and Archie will always be that friend to go, the first time he was doing all of that stuff, he burnt his hand on hot steel while talking about what hot steel looks like.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk about it like
that story. Whenever I say something what sounds smart, he's just gonna pull out that story.
No, I don't do that. I'm gonna pull it out at poignant moments. So if you're opening your like first major like blacksmithing center or like a blacksmithing university or whatever, I'm gonna be like, oh, do you remember the time that this happened? And then at your wedding, if you think you're gonna stop me by like not even allowing me in, I'm gonna just crash that party and say it anyway.
I think I've got a good logo.
Birth of your first child. That's gonna be saying it then.
No, okay. That story's just gonna follow me.
Deathbeds, definitely then. And if you think you're escaping it in the afterlife, mate, think again. Wherever we're going, I'm gonna be telling the story to anybody who will listen.
Just be in the corner of the room telling the story.
I'll be muttering it to myself as I'm rocking back and forth and slowly sending myself insane. So this is the only good story I have.
The thing is, that is the thing of blacksmithing, is it's like, although it is like, it can be quite dangerous, and it is, the actual art of doing it is quite a violent process, but it's also quite a beautiful one. A lot of the people I teach, they come in for experience days, and I teach them for 3 to 6 hours or whatever. They say that although it is quite a violent experience, it's also quite a therapeutic one, and it's quite a fun process and quite almost calming in a weird, dangerous, fiery way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it looks graceful.
What I'm getting from this is screw therapy. Just go into
Yes.
blacksmithing.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Exactly. Screwdriver, just whack a bit of hot metal with a hammer, and then happy days.
Yeah. I mean, like, don't burn yourself like some blacksmiths.
No,
Yeah.
You know,
whoever
like,
did that clearly
Yeah.
doesn't know what they're doing.
just wear gloves.
See, that's what I said.
See, that's
you
the
see,
whole, that is a big
that's the
debate in
smart thing to
blacksmithing.
do.
But I'd say you just need the
thing is
one
with
glove.
gloves is like you lose the grip of your hands. Like, because when after a while, you get all the calluses and whatnot on your hand, you get quite tough hands. So you can grip the hammer quite well, and you feel each blow in your hand, and it's so much more accurate with it. When you got a glove, the hammer can just completely slip out your hands, and oftentimes the glove is more flammable than your hand.
Well, yeah.
That being said, I don't condone
Hands just
going
melt,
out and
as we
Gotta
see.
blacksmithing.
be honest though,
You know.
I'd rather set a glove on fire than burn my hand. I will be honest.
Yeah, you
but
can
then
take
your
a
hand
glove
will be on
off.
fire.
No, if you take the glove
That's
off,
cool.
it'll be alright.
I'm Ghost Riding.
Oh, okay.
Love it. I was just saying, well, it's safe because you can take it off, and Nora's like, my hand will be on fire, and I'll be awesome.
I'll just dip it in oil.
Whatever floats your boat, man. I mean, I'm not here to judge.
Yeah, fair enough.
You guys want to move on to topic number 2?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, I'm sure we've all had our fair share of medieval games here, like
Yep.
For Honor,
Yeah.
Mordhau, Chivalry, stuff like that. How are we thinking about the combat? Like, what kind of rankings have we got it? What kind of opinions have we got? Let's talk about For Honor first, because
Yeah, I was going
That
to
was
say
It's
gorgeous.
the big obvious one. Everybody knows.
yeah, everybody knows For Honor. It
Yeah.
looks gorgeous.
For Honor is the medieval fighting game.
It is.
Even though it's technically not medieval anymore. 'Cause
No,
they
it's
added
all of it.
fucking pirates.
That's a good
Oh shit!
point,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And the samurai, they
The samurai.
of the period of the 1600s. So,
Yeah,
medieval
Yeah.
game,
And there's a centurion, I'm pretty sure, as well.
And there's an ancient Egyptian as well.
Yeah, there's an ancient
Medieval
Egyptian.
Game of the Year award goes to For Honor.
Yeah.
That is a good
But it
point.
used to, I mean, to be honest, at the end of the day, it was never medieval.
Yeah, most of it's mostly
Yeah.
focused on medieval.
At the end of the day, it's
the
pretty much
weaponry
medieval.
itself lends itself quite well to the medieval style combat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh god.
And the best builds are either Japanese or, medieval knights. Actually, do you remember Orochi? Do you remember that lovely character? The fast-paced
Please stop
samurai
giving me
with the spear.
flashbacks.
I think it's a spear. Or is it a light, or is it a small katana? I'm not sure.
That's
Either
the
way,
small katana. That's just the normal
Oh.
katana.
I was going
Yeah, I
through
know
my Xbox messages because it said there were some unread ones, and I actually saw this person who messaged me. It was probably when we had our For Honor days, and he was like, "Stop light spamming, you dick or whatever." And I messaged him back, and I was saying, "That's how you play Orochi, bozo." And I was just looking back at all my messages and just realizing how toxic of a For Honor player I was. Like, I respected 1v1s and stuff, but I'd light spam as Orochi.
Where it just corrupts you.
Yeah, I'd
It's
like
like-
light spam as Orochi. The power was too
I
much.
just say though, For Honor, my all-time favorite thing about it is the suit of armors that are in it.
Oh yeah,
I
they all
think
look
they
good.
look so cool, and also they're just cool.
Yeah, that's
like,
it. At the end of the
The
day.
way that the armor looks.
I must praise For Honor on a little bit of things, and that is the representation.
Yeah, give them some slack.
Yeah, I got to give them. Well, I'm gonna commend them. I'm gonna say well done for this. I feel like they did the samurai and the Japanese mostly very well because a lot of the armor is quite accurate. If you got a picture of a samurai, you'd go, "Oh, it's a samurai." So it's very close, and I must say, I do like the look of the game. I do like the armor. But the only problem is it's not accurate in any way, shape, or form to true historical armor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even make sense. It's not really armor, it's clothing, which looks like armor.
Yeah, true. It's very malleable.
Another thing to commend For Honor on, just going off that, is the character, I think it's Highlander, with the big sword.
Yes.
His movements, the way just circling back a bit to the style of combat, the movement in which he uses the massive sword.
Yes.
It's you feel the weight in it, and when you move across, the way the character moves the weapon is very reminiscent of how that style of weapon would have been used. It's not just like in what other games where it's just a swing. You feel the weight of that. That sword.
For Honor always did that good.
That's what's For Honor's good than that.
Always, the movement and the combat was some of the best bits, especially the executions. I always loved just scrolling through them, looking at the ones I would never ever be able to unlock, and I was like, "This looks so cool."
Yeah, I was a bit of a sweat, so I had quite a few of them. But I sold my soul to that game, unfortunately.
Yeah, same.
I think I really do like the Highlander. I think the Highlander and a lot of the Samurai are great examples of, probably how to do it quite right. I am not particularly familiar on the Scottish Claymore, but I am quite familiar on Montante, which is a form of large weapon use. It's great sword. Most people know that Montante, which is Portuguese/Spanish, as a Zweihander.
Yeah, there's a Zweihander. Yeah, there's a Zweihander. Yeah.
I do like the way he uses it. There are a lot of stances actually seen within historical documents that he actually takes loosely. He doesn't take them fully, and he doesn't use them like that. Like he'll be in a low guard, and then he'll suddenly go and then drop his sword on you. But other than that, he takes historical stances, and I think for the sense of a video game, and note the word video game, because if you did this in real life, you just die. I have done this with my friends extensively at HEMA. It doesn't work, but it looks cool, and I do genuinely like the fighting style of that game because it is quite fun.
Yeah, that it is. Going off
the big issue with media predictions of combat is there's always a lot of flashy spins or a lot of
way too flashy
blades hitting each other, which
too many swords.
Sometimes
too many swords.
But like after witnessing a lot of like full contact sword fighting, a lot of it is a lot like wrestling.
Yeah, so
it's
brutal.
Like, a lot of it is just like dogfights. It's not big flashy spins and stuff like. It's heavy hits, heavy kicks, and it's brutal.
Yeah, that actually perfectly segues us onto our next topic, which is on how well medieval combat's portrayed in movies. Let's just keep going on that kind of rabbit hole. Actually,
oh God, no!
I've got a good.
Just like to point out, for any movie, how the combat would be portrayed is how good of an actor it is.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there are some great films out. Yeah, there are some great films out there. Don't get me wrong. There's great films out there with great medieval stories and all that stuff. But because of the actor, it kind of ruins it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
definitely.
There's a really good film. I watched it with Leo. I don't know if you guys have watched it, called The King, with Timothy Chalamet, and it's about Henry V.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't bring that up.
What are you talking about? That is
I like it, but I also really dislike it.
But the combat though is actually incredibly well done.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the first duel, for example, that was amazingly well done. They chucked down their swords pretty much as quickly as you would have, at that point.
And that's that's
what I'm talking about.
Where it was like. It's the getting in there. It's like the hugging and dogfight of it.
I wouldn't call it hugging, but
Are we just sticking with movies here, by the way, or can we go with series too?
Yeah, if you like, we'll just go anywhere our conversation will take us. Really.
Only one you mentioned Vikings, didn't you?
Vikings is a great show.
Yeah, Vikings is a brilliant show.
I still need to watch that.
It is so good. Yeah, the fight in that is that.
You'll love it.
Most times that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Like,
see, the thing is,
they portray it is good.
Yeah, the thing is, I never understand why like Hollywood movies and stuff always try and like make like medieval combat more awesome. It's already awesome if you were to make it historically accurate. They just like, why are they taking the helmets off? Why are they like dodging a sword that's not even going to touch them in the first place? It just really annoys me because medieval combat looks amazing at the end of the day.
Yeah, and also in my opinion, like keeping the helmet on makes the character look cooler.
Oh, way much.
Wearing the full silver armor with the helmet on just makes it look cooler.
Way better.
Because one of the things which definitely keeps back, as well as that really good fighting in especially medieval combat scenarios where there's full armor involved, is definitely the actor, because remember, they've only got 6 weeks, sometimes only a few months to get ready for a movie. They can't learn. Like, I have been practicing HEMA for 2 years now. I'm almost going on. I'm almost going on 3 years. So it's definitely quite a hard sport, and that is non-armored combat. That is combat where we're acting like we're not wearing anything at all.
Yeah.
So when it comes to armored combat, it's still really complex. And the thing is we have people who are good at it, who would love to be represented in those sorts of TV shows and movies. And you can, by being accurate with the armor.
That's it.
It's one of the things with Deadpool, which I commend, is rather than, well, with a lot of things, is you use stunt actors. But the problem with a lot of medieval combat is it's quite close up, and you are clearly going to see the person's face. If they're not wearing a helmet.
Yeah, exactly. Which they should be, unless they're like a footman, you know. Or at least wear like a kettle helm or something. Just wear, or maybe like an open face bassinet. Just wear something.
Yeah. I definitely think this is one of the things I think they did with the King as well, is rather than using the real actors in the armor, they used stunt doubles.
Definitely.
Because it just makes sense. Like, the actor for most of the scenes is always going to have their helmet off.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
As soon as you go into combat, you need a competent fighter, yeah? So cover their face. You know, if you cover their face historically with a genuine helmet, yeah, it doesn't take you out of the world. It's like Deadpool. A lot of Ryan Reynolds didn't actually do any of the fight scenes because he's in a fucking costume. If you just cover him up, you can just negate the problem of an actor being bad at fighting because, you know, they got to get fit, they've got to learn their lines. They've also got to do a whole bunch of other stuff. You can cut out part of the equation if you just cover their face and put stunt actor in it.
But what I find baffling is how they'll do that and they'll have a stunt actor, but still take the helmet off and then take the time to CGI the actor's face on the person. Just like, why? Just put a helmet on. Leave it at that. It's easy as.
Yeah.
See, I'd like to look at the flip side of that and look at one of the first fight scenes in The Witcher is the most awesome, but it's like technique-wise, it sucks. The fight scene in the first episode of The Witcher, because from memory, Henry Cavill did his own stunts in that, and he looked amazing. But from historic uses of the sword, it's way too flashy.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just look at the Witcher games, that's exactly the same.
Beautiful fight.
I will also say there is a huge problem with that fight, but I might not go into it. But I feel like I should go into it, and that
go into it, bro.
Henry Cavill, I think, was great. In a lot of the scenes where he's fighting AI monsters, as in generated by CGI, a lot of the fighting actually seems quite good because he's swinging as much as he's... Because the problem is in that scene, there were two major problems, yeah? He was using a half sword, which takes off weight. So it doesn't have a sense of weight, it is a half sword. Half swords have zero fucking weight. They're so easy to use. It's a half sword, and that's not just like a small sword. They literally they had half core of a sword blade just on the end of a hilt. Because you can't have Henry Cavill running around with a genuine full length sword decapitating people because it's a race.
That would be awesome, though.
It would be awesome. And the second problem was their use of a one take. It makes the scene feel awesome as you feel like you're there. But it also takes me out because you can clearly see that if they had just cut there, it would have been perfect.
See, I actually kind of disagree on that one. The oneer, with what you're saying about being a oneer, I think that kind of aids it because it shows the fluidity of the attack and the fights. You know, it's not just the cutting and the the swift changes. It's all one fluid movement, and as the camera's following that movement. Yeah, that's how I personally feel about it.
Yeah, it does look good. I must say, just watching it was just a joy to watch. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
I do have to say though, something that in my opinion, I don't think any film has ever gotten like accurate is weight. The weight of the armor, the weight of the sword, all of that. I don't think they've really ever gotten that accurate. And because the combat would be entirely different if they thought about the weight of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But it isn't. So I kind of feel like that takes away some of the
definitely.
I
think one thing with The Witcher is it lends itself decently just for the sake of the Witcher being this, he's not human at the end of the day. He's kind of supernatural mutant type thing.
Yeah.
So I think you can kind of give it a bit of leeway
Yeah, he is
story
meant to have
wise,
super strength.
but historically it does remove the aspect of it feeling real.
Yeah. The only issue I really have with The Witcher is all the twirling, It's the same with a lot of other
Yeah.
Don't
It's just
spin.
too much spinning. Why have you got your back
You're
to this guy?
exposing so
I mean,
much
come on.
of yourself.
Like, especially if you're fighting monsters. Why would you have your back to this big monster with
Yep.
the biggest teeth you've ever seen? It's just going to be like,
Yeah, you're just
It looks good to play
asking
as,
to just
but-
get your spinal cord severed, if I may say something.
yeah, that's it.
You've got this huge creature with sharp talons, tough teeth, and very strong, and you're going to expose your fucking spine to it.
That's it.
Why? It's, yeah, sure, you may not expose it much of your vital organs like your lungs or your heart. It's a bit more easier to get that in the front than it is the back. You're still exposing your spine. If that gets severed, you're never going to walk again.
Yeah.
It's the hardest part to defend as well. If you get struck in the back, it's like you can't defend yourself very easily from behind.
Yeah.
You're just giving them a perfect opportunity to just
Literally disable
attack
you forever.
and get a lot of damage.
In HEMA, I have had my experience of fighting more opponents at once. And one of the things you're always taught is keep them in front of you. Because as well as that, you can't see behind you. You can't really fight behind you. And you will tunnel vision. If you're fighting multiple opponents, you will tunnel vision. It's what the brain does. You see enemy, you focus enemy. When you're fighting somebody behind you, you don't know that they're there. You can't see them. You can't hear them because your ears face forward. You can't get anything from it. Turning your back in any situation, even for a split second, exposes you.
I think the only time that having your back to anyone is, any form of justified is when you have the Force. That's the only time.
Yes.
So if you're a Jedi Knight or a Sith, that's the only time that you can have your back to anyone.
Yeah.
Actually, thinking about like medieval and like fantasy and stuff, this is completely unrelated, but it's about movies. I always found the Battle of the Five Armies in The Hobbit was actually really good. Not only CGI but also awesome tactics. If you're looking at it, it actually looked pretty damn good. It's not very. I wouldn't say it's super accurate, but they actually did use tactics. Yeah. I can't remember what army, but they used the tactics for the the big. When the dwarfs are on the mounts, they actually use the same tactics as how they would deal with chariots. They'd move to the side, let them in, and stab them from all directions. I think that was really cool and a really neat little thing. I just think that was, and also cinematically, however accurate you want to say it looks amazing. The CGI was just incredible, and it must have taken so long. And I got major respect for anybody who can sit in front of a computer and make that. Yeah, of course, go ahead, nitpick, my brother.
One of the points is, during the battle, when the orcs arrive, you think, oh, wow, dwarves and elves fighting together? Cool. J.R. Tolkien thought this so well. And then the dwarves get into like a shield wall, and you're like, perfect, the orcs are going to struggle. And then the elves jump over the shield wall.
See, I quite like that, if I'm honest. It's stupid, but I quite liked it. It looked good.
It looks cool, but like, you can make things look cool. What I think would have been better is if you just put that in the reverse. You have the elves behind the dwarves, and you have the orcs jumping over the dwarves, trying to kill the elves and dwarves,
better,
and the elves just slicing them.
Yeah, and they got their spears as well. So
yeah, when you watch the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, you actually see the battle, and you see that what the elves do is they usually shoot a volley of arrows, pretty decent. I mean, 3 people, it's a bit risky, but I mean, elves are the best army. And then when the orcs charge, they do a big sweeping movement, sort of a Mexican wave of slicing your sword. That looks so cool. I love the first battle in the first movie, because while the tactics aren't, so say, historically European in the world, in our world, they're not Asian and they're not American. But they are usable in some kind of battle.
Yeah, if you're an elf, it would be perfect. I mean,
yeah.
At the end of the day, it is fantasy, and they are kind of working to their strengths. I mean, if you were an elf army, that would probably be the most sensible way to do it. Because if you see, they can fire those volleys incredibly quickly. And, so...
I mean, the elves definitely take a lot of inspiration from sort of longbowmen, in my opinion, of shooting a lot very fast.
Yeah.
You may not be able to do so much damage on one hit, but you're going to do a whole lot of fucking damage with a lot. That's why Cressy and Agincourt are so dangerous.
Yeah, I love longbows so much. What I would give to just have a longbow, that'd be amazing.
I actually have a child-sized longbow made of genuine yew.
Oof, man, that sounds
It's
amazing.
tiny and it's a bit crude because
Yeah.
when I was a bit younger, I used to love fucking bows and arrows, and my dad was like, "Well, they used to originally make longbows of yew. We know this because of the Mary Rose," and I was like, "That's so cool." And my dad found a yew tree, took off a branch, shaped it, and I had a little bow.
That's
I wasn't
awesome.
very good, but it was fucking cool.
Yeah, that's incredibly cool. Also,
I've always loved archery growing up. It's like I've always, performed archery. It's always such a fun sport to take part in. And that's one thing I've always wanted to try. Is like a traditional yew longbow because they're hard to get nowadays.
Oh yeah,
they are.
Use a hard wood to come by.
It's a shame.
They are quite hard as well. I mean, the poundage of the ones on the Mary Rose, which are our best analog, the only evidence we have of poundage, physical evidence of poundage of bows, is actually only from the Mary Rose. Only. It's the only way we know how heavy longbows were. We obviously have historical accounts of people saying it was this heavy in the medieval weightage and stuff like that, and we know they were made of ash and yew because they told us that's what they did. It's the tree. They knew what an ash tree was, so they were able to tell us what it was. But we could obviously never know the true poundage, and then we obviously dug up the Mary Rose, and we could say, "Hey, we got a semi-accurate thing to the late 1400s and early 1500s."
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what was the poundage did they say that they thought it was?
So it ranged. This is the big thing. It ranges anywhere from 80 to sometimes 120 pounds.
Oh, that's insane. Imagine having to pull back 120 pounds every time you have to shoot something.
It was. Yeah, you can say something.
I was just going to say it always surprises me. I don't know about anyone else, but it surprises me so much how, like, I don't know if you've ever seen like an actual piece of armor from back then, but the armor is so like thin. So you would have had to be really thin, but as well as heavy as was, you would have had to be so thin yet so strong at the same time.
Yeah,
very lean.
A bow weighing that much, it doesn't surprise me that they could just do that.
Well, yeah, they had to train like every week with those bows. That's what I find insane. Is it was like the average peasant had a longbow, and now
Edward
it's almost
III,
impossible to come by.
Edward III, just before his campaign in France, started the 100 Years' War, he knew that he could never beat France with men at arms and knights. He knew he had to beat them with something else. He also had to realise his country was poorer and his country was smaller. He did not have as many men as France. So he had to come up with something, and he made it law that people from about the age of 14 had to train with the longbow. He knew personally from experience how powerful it was because the longbow actually originates from Wales. So
good old Henry.
It is a very, very strong bow, and there are finds of skeletons from that period who would have been longbowmen, who have been 30, 40 years old, and they've been training since they were 14, and the actual skeletal structure in their back had changed. Because you have to, like, the thing is they could shoot so many rounds a minute. Think about that. Like, not only do you physically change your muscles, you have to, like, to draw that. If you look at videos of people drawing 120-pound longbow, you see how they don't just engage just their arms, they engage their back, they engage their neck, they engage their legs, and they draw it, and you can just feel, you can see the power. And when it lets go, they say that you can feel it. Longbows are extremely powerful, and it's crazy to think that people were shooting that, but it's so powerful that it actually changed the skeletal structure of people.
That is baffling.
Also, from just getting to train from such a young age, that is, be able to adapt that quickly as they're growing up. That probably played a part in it.
Yeah, that definitely played a part in like the whole skeletal structure.
I mean, like, I honestly would not mind if
No,
I was
neither.
allowed by law to, like, if I was forced by law to train with a longbow. That would just be a dream.
These days it'd be like a rifle.
I would not complain at all.
I think we should make it a mandatory law.
You guys want to make a petition?
Yeah.
Yeah, just because one of the things which it would be good for is, as one of the most obese countries in Europe and in the world.
Yeah, we're like the America of Europe, let's face it.
Yeah, we are the Americans of Europe. You know, what I like to say and what a lot of people say is we're not in the North Sea, we're in the middle of the Atlantic, halfway between Europe and America.
That's it, man. It's a shame.
I mean, I don't like to say we're basically Americans. Americans are basically us.
Yeah.
But, you know, we are sort of American in some sense, which is horrible to say.
Let's just be honest, bite the bullet, just say it. We're pretty much American.
We're just slightly smarter.
Yeah. But even then, we're getting very dumb
we're
very
smarter
quickly.
than quite a bit.
We're getting very dumb. We're built
but
different.
then again, everyone is getting dumb very quickly. Like, just the other day, I was hanging out with Archie, and we were just pointing out how, if you look at buildings back in the medieval era, just look at them. Handmade, like, probably took them ages, of course.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any technology which we have now, and they could make such beautiful buildings. And now we just have a block. We just have like just a square block emptiness of brick.
Yeah, things have gotten more expensive and like worse in quality as we go on. Like, if you look at even like old like tin soldiers and stuff that used to be for like the average young boy in the Victorian times, these little tiny tin soldiers were made with so much love, and like it was insane the amount of love that was put into it. Toys throughout all of history, and now the expensive but while mass-produced toys that only the rich kids can get are actually a load of shit in comparison. You know?
Yeah.
And I just find that baffling. Is you'd think it would get better and cheaper as we go on, but no, it's the exact opposite. Unless you're talking about maybe
another
technology.
point to kind of expand upon that is just general, just everyday stuff. What you think people would know. It's like just because it's the first example that comes to my mind, but there's the like just general like fire starting, like making campfires and stuff.
Yeah,
nobody knows how to do that.
No, like a lot of people who I hung out with in the past just can't figure out how to start a fire, which is it's not that necessary nowadays, so fair enough. But it's like it's surprising.
I bet they couldn't start a fire with a lighter and lighter fluid, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, because through the technology, what's available to us nowadays, we just don't have to think about things anymore. So we don't, it's becomes a challenge because we've made it almost too easy for ourselves.
Yeah, that's it.
I would just say something, and that is, I watched this video. I'm gonna shout out one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, Lindy Beige. He did a video, a talk with a volunteer in the Ukraine war, who I have great admiration for because it takes a lot of balls to fight in another man's war. And he was talking about how on his basically first night, his barracks were bombed by the Russians and they had to flee into the woods of Ukraine in the middle of fucking winter, freezing in just pants and shirts. People built in fucking wars are built different. But it's interesting to think that even military people don't know how to make a fire, because he had a little ghillie stove to make things like hot chocolate and tea, and he was getting people to go fetch twigs. And a lot of people in the middle of winter in Ukraine, where it snows and rains quite a lot, were coming back with twigs which they'd picked up from the ground, not realizing that they were wet and frozen.
Oh man.
Like,
so it's baffling.
I've heard about that.
Forgotten about it. It is really interesting to think that humans as a species have kind of gotten to a point where we're so smart and so intelligent in others that a lot of other people, who haven't come up with this stuff or afterwards, don't know what the other, the previous generations had to do. If you follow me.
Yeah.
So we've also kind of
things just get easier and easier, so
Yeah.
people forget because they don't need to know it anymore because it's
Exactly.
now so easy.
And that's why history is so quickly lost and nobody really ever is interested in it. And also, we've kind of worked ourselves to a point where if you look at even the really low tech, like untouched tribes and stuff, if you see the documentaries on them, they're always so much healthier and sometimes even happier than us. They haven't got this tech, but they are buff as all heck. They can climb trees like it's nothing. They hunt like monkeys and like other animals, and even the dogs are much stronger. Like they were talking about a dog, and this one dog had his leg like torn off when they were hunting, and he just kept going. He just couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He just kept on hunting, and it's just insane how it gives kind of a look into how maybe our ancestors would have been like. Obviously, not with the climbing trees and hunting monkeys, but with that kind of fitness, because they don't look like a bodybuilder. They're pretty lean, because they don't get that many calories.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's probably similar to how our ancestors were like.
It's crazy to think, in the sense of back in caveman times where humans would be sprinting, like we'd out endure, I guess.
We had the
prey.
endurance.
The whole idea is that we made them tired, and then we killed them.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'm going to be the first to admit it. I can't do cardio for nothing. I'm absolutely terrible at it. Archie knows this.
Oh yeah.
Too well. I weightlifting, I can do that. Good old bit of cardio, I'm done after 5 seconds. I am out of it.
You'd be dead in the
so
wild.
It's exactly, and that's the crazy part. Whereas a lot of things nowadays, and in just general endurance practice, is very, a lot of that has been lost nowadays. We think if that's how they used to hunt back then, was just to out endure the prey.
Yeah, it's like how would a slow, dull, and not that strong human kill a cheetah? Well, that's because that cheetah doesn't want to kill us. We're another predator. But we want to kill it for fun, for sport. How do we kill it? Well, we can't run after it. It runs 40 fucking miles an hour. How did we beat it? We just kept charging it down. We tracked it. We used dogs to track it. So we'd just follow it. We'd keep jogging and we'd follow it, and then it would get tired. It would keel over, ready to have a nap, and we'd stab it and kill it and wear a pelt.
Yeah, exactly.
We survived because we were smartest.
Part of that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, funny enough, is a lot of where we have succeeded in the past is our ability to adapt and create different tools and
utilize animals around us who are better at certain jobs.
Yeah, using traps, using tools, all that stuff. That's where we humans dominated, and that's how we grew to get so smart, because we have that engineer's brain.
Yeah.
I will also say, we did sort of touch on intelligence and how, technically we're more intelligent now. And if we went back to the medieval periods and knew the medieval language of where we were in a certain period, and we had an intellectual argument with that person, we'd probably win.
Yeah.
Intellectually, we are smarter. But normally, how many people now know how to do common household things? How many people know how to make their own food? Not just cook it and not just go Asda and cook it, but actually grow it.
That's true.
Who knows how to care for an animal like a pig or chickens? Very few people know that. Very few people know how to actually repair tools.
Yeah.
Even some of the best tradesmen in the world, if their hammer handle breaks, they buy a new hammer because they don't know how to repair a hammer.
That's why you should come to Founside Forge, where we will pay your hammers for you.
yeah. Pay Founside Forge to fix your hammers.
Such a good plug, man. I've got to respect that.
that is beautiful. But yeah, I'm luckily blessed with such a good garden where I can actually grow my own stuff. It's always really beneficial. Mostly potatoes, but
I believe, in my opinion, that human evolution has just stopped at the moment.
It's regressing at this
point. I don't think we're evolving anymore. In fact, I actually think we're evolving a tiny bit.
Yeah, we're going back, definitely. We're going to start like going in like no time soon. We're gonna, actually
We are
next week we're gonna be
playing at
like
the moment,
little
just
DNA
watch.
particles a bit.
Yeah.
We're just going
just
back, man.
watch game compilations, like games where have you seen that new like gambling game where you like drop a bunch of balls and you get money for it? And I'm just like,
What?
all of the people there are neurodivergent monkeys.
That's definitely one way of saying it. These guys are stupid.
Just
Our ancestors got their hook from hunting animals and doing a whole bunch of other things. And now we get our dopamine, not from hunting animals, not from being accomplished in life. We get it for fucking numbers on a screen.
Yeah, that's true.
Which
The ones and zeros
I
is the
think
only thing that keeps us afloat.
that is a big point. What you make is that a lot of people nowadays aren't focused on the grind of being successful, making a legacy, making yourself known. A lot of people now are just happy to be sat down and scroll through TikTok or whatever video they fancy watching currently.
I mean, most people throughout history didn't make their, the whole idea of being successful is like being rich and having lots of women and having lots of expensive cars and a nice house and yachts and stuff like that. It's like, that's the rich man's idea of success. But nobody even takes pride in things like an honest day's work. If you were a medieval farmer, if you're a farmer of any period, you'd be proud. I've got that harvest in, my house is nice, tip top in shape. I've got, plenty of stock for winter. I've made some money, basic accomplishments. We no longer strive for accomplishments that are actually meaningful. I mean,
that's true.
There's this guy who goes around on a lot of on YouTube, and he goes through a lot of houses, and it's just like, builders and plumbers and electricians no longer care about their work. All they care about is money and being able to go home on time so that they can sit down on a couch, eat shit food, do absolutely nothing with their life, play video games and watch fucking videos. I myself am a bit of a victim to this, but that's because
I think all of us have fallen victim to this. But the thing is, we're also, all of us are trying to get out of that kind of rut.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't want to be a sort of historian anymore. It's like, I think I could be happy as a historian, but I would like to be able to say, hey, look, I'm an electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm a construction worker, and I take pride in doing a good thing on like, how many people can say they built a house? How many people can say they plumbed a house? How many people can say they do a lot of electrician and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody can, as much as they don't completely relate to a lot of things and a lot of other people's idea of success, it's still a level of success because you've put blood, sweat, and tears into something. And
success is one of those things where it lies in the eyes of the beholder. Because what, as one person who's successful is that like your view is, it's someone putting in the effort, putting care into their work, and living a happy life where it's meaningful. Like, that is success. But another person could view it as like what the other view you mentioned of getting that money and be able to just cruise through life, where it depends on what you view in life, and
it's what you see
also
as
just
success.
depends on your past experiences as well, as a lot of things do.
I think it's good to strive for that kind of, get rich. It's good to strive for that kind of thing, because that'll probably put you in a much better place than most other people, which will allow you to be in such a position where you can focus on being a plumber, and you can focus on like your passion. You can focus on being in your garden because you got the one thing that's going to cover you no matter what. That's why I think it's important to chase something like
modern world is just how dependent everything is on money.
Yeah,
like,
on this little paper that is literally worthless.
Yeah.
Like, once it's removed, now it's removed from the gold standard, it's literally worthless.
Yeah.
But actually, I did see, I can't remember what it was called. It was quite interesting because I was thinking of having a look at it. I'll try and get it up, but it was like a bank card, and the entire thing is based on silver and gold, and you kind of have instant gold and silver conversion, so it is actually based on real currency.
Yeah.
And it was really intuitive, and I was like, it's amazing actually. Bringing us back to that kind of old kind of here it is, kinesis, and they kind of run this isn't sponsored or anything, of course, but here we go. So it's all protected. All your funds are protected with gold and silver, and it's really impressive because that is how money is meant to be. That actually is what gives it worth. And it was just really impressive to me how they're kind of trading in gold and silver, but it's in how much money you actually have. So that I always found quite impressive. And returning back to that, old kind of, it does have a value.
So, I think we should go further back than that. I think we should just go for the classic. I'll give you a goat for 2.
Back to bartering. Cheap. Yeah, I'll give you a dead horse for 1 live horse.
Yeah. And it's also just general, like, just, I will work so and so and so in return for shelter or something like.
Yeah,
I go back to that kind of.
Yeah, that actually used to be a thing like in the 50s. No, that's indentured servitude.
I'll give you shelter if
that's
you
indentured servitude. The thing is, that kind of thing happened in the 40s. That kind of thing used to happen. That kind of thing used to happen in the 50s, like the 40s, 50s, that kind of time. Back, when honour was still kind of a thing. But the reason it stopped was because of the deterioration of honour was, it would be like, they'd have signs outside of like, gas stations and all of these different places. And they'd be like, look, we're looking for work. We'll pay you this much money, cash in hand, if you come in for this day. And that used to be like a thing, you could just find a job because they put the sign up. You said, I'd like a job. Like, yeah, all right, here you go. But now with the deterioration of honour and stuff, people would steal from those places because obviously they didn't do background checks, didn't do CV checks. They were just like, we need work, we need it now. We'll pay you cash in hand if you do it. And you still kind of get that with labour and stuff, or with labouring jobs and stuff, if you're not, part of a company. But, and with that whole deterioration of honour, it led to that kind of point where you can't do that anymore. You can't have a random person come in and be like, here's 100 quid if you work this day, which is a spectacular amount of money. But, because the only people that come in these days are like crackheads and drug addicts. And maybe if you're lucky, you got like the teenager who's looking for a job, but it'd probably just be crackheads and drug addicts who just want to have enough money to get their next fix, which is probably not going to stop them from raiding your cash register.
Yeah.
And that I think is the true terrible deterioration of man. Not that our technology is getting better, but that the status of human morality has fallen so far that no matter if you're religious or not, even back then, there was still a kind of, even if you were religious or not, you still had that kind of honor because you still had that respect that you just hold for your fellow human, which I think we have severely lost over the time on this earth. And you can see it deteriorate over time.
That is a big thing, is that there's a big loss of respect in modern day. Whereas like just different parties and different, I don't mean parties in political parties, I just mean parties, groups of people. A lot of them just disagreeing for like no particular reason, but just pure hatred. It's just that loss of respect. What you see a lot, or used to see a lot. I think you just need to respect everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what your views are. Just respect people.
Yeah, it is as simple as that, though. It is easy to just, whoever shows up in front of you, to just smile. Even if you don't even have to talk to them, you just have to smile. Just a smile when you're walking past somebody could brighten their entire day. That's what I've always been taught. That's what my mum's taught me. And I've carried that through life, Just a simple smile could brighten somebody's day. Especially where I live in the village.
You would want to be treated, or how the quote goes.
Yeah, love thy neighbour if you want to go there, and then treat people like you want to be treated.
Yeah, that was the first.
I also see a lot of people now are beginning to also, how do you say it, like, how do I describe it? I'm trying to figure out how to describe it.
What, like, kind of, an increase in morality, or something like that? Or is he's gone muted, he's trying to probably figure out his own brain.
Do you want to move on to the next topic while he's thinking about that?
Oh, is he back?
Sorry, something was just up.
Okay.
Right. I definitely see that now people are beginning to categorize themselves. That's what I was looking for. Categorize themselves.
Yes.
I.e., you have people who are like, I'm religious, I believe in this party, I am, I like this, I like that, this is who I am, this is my identity. And, people are beginning to categorize themselves and put a list of their names. These are my pronouns, stuff like this. It's like,
that's it, man.
I don't. Most people don't care if you're religious, if you're bisexual, if you're transgender. Nobody cares. You know, they want people categorize themselves.
Mm.
You know, whenever I go into a conversation, I don't say, hi, my name's Oren, I am a heterosexual male. But as I said, I don't show up to people. I don't say, hi, I'm Oren, I am male, I am pro right wing,
Yeah.
but I'm also
guess
a bit.
that's a
Like,
bit
That's not how I introduce myself.
No.
Nobody introduces themselves like they're a robot. People say, hi, I'm Oren, and then you just naturally learn something.
I just naturally learn people's name. You know, I'll just meet them, and then I'll probably ask them 2 weeks later, and it'll be all awkward because
No,
they'll
you
know
see,
my name, I won't know theirs.
I never ask them for their name. I wait until someone else says their name.
Yeah,
and then
I wait until, like,
pretend I
the
knew their name
register.
the entire time.
I wait for
Yeah.
like the register or somebody else says their
See,
name. That's when I'll
I'm
figure it
terrible
out.
with names. It's like I will always remember this one point where I was in a lesson with Archie, and we had someone who was sat next. It was me and Archie
Back
in a
in secondary
lesson.
school.
I think it was science. I think it was, and I think I asked this poor girl their name like 5 times.
Oh yeah.
So like it was like an hour, and I kept forgetting it over and over again. I'm terrible with names.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was hilarious.
Yeah, it was bad.
I sort of do a bit what Hayden does is you just sort of wait for somebody else to say that. Like I'll ask somebody, hey, what's your name? And then I'll forget, and then I'll wait for somebody else to say their name.
Yeah, that's it.
And then try and
And
remember
you just
it from
pretend
that.
you know it the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, if they
Pretend
never
you
knew,
know
it
it.
doesn't hurt. So
Yeah, no, I just have to ask like 8 times, and then it'll eventually sink in.
Or just call
eventually.
them mate or bro or dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that always works.
How you doing, man?
Yeah. What's going on, matey?
How's it going, bro?
Yeah, you know.
How's it going, my fine gentleman?
Exactly. Such a prestigious
Yeah, just get
greeting.
really posh with it.
Exactly.
Well, good evening.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to me categorizing people. It's like there's so many people. It's like one of my closest friends. I didn't know he was Christian until like months after I knew him.
Mm.
Archie, I didn't know that you were Christian until months after I'd known you.
Yeah.
It's not that important. I mean, like,
No, exactly.
you are you. I mean, religion might be part of your identity, but like,
Yeah. I don't really have an identity. I'm just a human. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's
it's
how I
like-
think we should all categorize ourselves. Humans.
yeah,
As a religious.
As a religious human.
As a religious.
And
That's just how it kind
even then, it's like some people find out something about their friends, like their political view or their religion or something about them, and then change their mind on them. Why?
Yeah, that is That is what I find terrifying. Is how
Like,
something like that could change an entire friendship.
I mean, like I've lost friends in the past because I've said like just my opinion on something, and then they take it the wrong way. Like I just find it's really wrong to
It's
do
like
that.
it's just because I think
Especially
this way
if you
doesn't
don't
mean
like
that
ask
I hate
follow-up
you.
questions.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, when they don't ask questions as well, when they just leave, it's like, I mean, it's probably dodging a bullet because at the end of the day, you don't want somebody like that around. But because like if you just speak your view, like let's say, like, so you're left wing and you wouldn't be friends with somebody that's right wing, even if you guys had a lot of fun together and you're really. And she was like, no, just because they were right winged, it baffles me how something like that, how something as important while being important, as irrelevant as such a political bias, which obviously is important because it is how you think, but the fact that it would be like you could go from being best friends and just because you found out they are on this certain political side, that just ends the friendship entirely. I just think that is incredibly insane, in my opinion, because I couldn't care what side you're on. I've got a friend who's a socialist. I mean, it's weird and I'm not a fan, but it doesn't stop me from being his friend. He's still a really nice and awesome dude. Like, you know.
Yeah. If you had 3 guys in a bar grabbing a pint, one of them was atheist, one of them was agnostic, and one of them was religious, they wouldn't start off the conversation by the atheist going, hey, Christian dude, convert me. They wouldn't do that.
No, they said, do you want to have another beer, mate?
Yeah, I mean, the only way that I think that would come up in that situation is if the religious person was a Muslim and didn't drink alcohol.
Oh yeah.
But even then, it's like,
It'd just be like, why aren't you drinking alcohol? I'm Muslim. Oh, okay, cool.
oh, okay. People just go, oh yeah, that's haram, isn't it? And they'll go, yeah, it's nice that you noticed that anyway. And then they'll just go back
does
to
come
what
back
they
to
were
the whole
talking about.
respect, doesn't it?
It does. The
This comes back to
simple
just
element of
respect people.
respect.
Yeah.
I mean,
It all comes
like,
back to that at the end of the day.
the only way that I would say anything like rude to a Christian or something like that is if we were having an argument on our views, like in a good way, like an argument in the views
Yeah, like
and
a
why
debate.
you believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a debate. Like, that's the only way I would say anything which would just be controversial.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it's more controversial to be pro-Christian these days, if I'm honest.
That's
See,
stupid.
interestingly enough, is just the conversations me and Archie end up having. Just
We have amazing
randomly,
conversations.
Is we just, because I myself I don't really believe in the Christian God. I don't know. So I feel like something's there. You know what I mean? There's a word for it.
Agnostic.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means you think there's something there, you're just not sure what.
Yeah.
Agnosticism is a weird area. Covering that
Mm.
philosophy gave me a headache trying to
Yeah.
cover that, because it's
Fair
just
enough.
like, what is agnosticism? And it's just everybody disagrees on it.
Yeah. Anyway, so just that conversation what me and Archie have just over religion and just general, like, that area of topic is because we approach it with an area of respect for each other, and that's where the conversation like that do work.
Yeah.
Is if you just treat it with respect,
And it's how you leave with
you
no
don't
hard
attack the
feelings.
other person's views. You listen and acknowledge them. You can disagree as much as you want, but you talk about it, and you know.
Yeah, and the beauty of those
Just
conversations is they are always fun to have, and while they always end the same with neither of us really know what's going on, but I'm placing my bets in the Christian God. You're still trying to figure it out, and that's fair enough. It always ends like that. But
Yeah,
it's
more
still
or less,
entertaining
that's how it ends.
conversations, and I'll always happily have those conversations, even though we always end up at the same conclusion because we pretty much share very similar views, except I put my faith more in the Christian God.
Yeah.
But that's literally it. It always just ends with, I think that's how a lot of vicars actually sit as well, considering from like what I've heard and who I've spoken to and stuff about it. They're always like, it's okay to question, and they've always had doubts, even as a vicar while going through vicarage school, while literally being a vicar, while in the middle of giving communion and stuff. They have their doubts, and I think that's just a natural part. You need to have those doubts and you need to have those conversations. That's what allows you to evolve. Because if at some point, like, I can see myself at some point falling from the grace of Christ and maybe becoming agnostic or something else, and that I think is a natural thing that will happen to absolutely everyone.
Everybody does it in everything.
Into and out of, exactly. You'll fall into and out of absolutely everything you'll ever do, and I think that's an amazing thing about humans, actually.
Yeah, I am a staunch atheist. I am a very Richard Dawkins-esque type of person. I'm the type of person to say, I do not believe in God, and you could probably never ever convert me from God, or convert me to believing in a God. And that's just me, because I wasn't brought up in any circumstance of going to church and believing in God and stuff like that. I never really understood a lot of the stuff, and as I am learning sort of like about that sort of stuff in philosophy and religion and stuff, it's like, overall, I mean, like, if you believe in something, you believe in something, and it's very hard to convert you from that. But everybody questions that. Like, I mean, I question it. I sometimes go, "Are you up there, God, Allah?
Allah.
Are you up there? Heck, Odin? Odin, are you in? Are you that weird guy in the
Zeus? Is that you?
Zeus, is that you?
Some
Please
Celtic
don't sleep with
thing?
another random girl."
Yeah,
but
the Greek ones were kind of fun.
Yeah, they're weird.
They're not the great ones.
We question everything. That's how we work. We're so intelligent. We just question everything. We question. You might in the morning want a chili for dinner, but by the end of the day, you go, actually, I'm really tired.
I don't think I've
I
ever
don't
wanted
want
a
to
chili
spend
for
the time
dinner. If
cooking
I'm
any chili,
honest.
but tell you what I do want. I do want a burger. So you get a
Fair
McDonald's
enough.
because we change. The same way people go. My dream profession when I started college was to be a history lecturer. Now I don't want to be a history lecturer that much anymore. That's just how it happens.
Yeah.
People will go. People will be born religious and go. I don't believe in God. I believe there's something there. I'm agnostic or whatever. And people will go from being non-religious. I see this a lot, especially on the internet. It's like people who were born to hate things like Christianity and Islam, going to a church or a mosque and going, I'm religious. I believe in this now. And becoming staunch believers. We change. We evolve.
Yeah, we change, we evolve, we grow, we break down and grow some more. And I think that is the absolute beauty of it all, really. That's the beauty of life,
Yeah.
The constant change, That's what keeps it interesting as well. If everybody was just one thing, nobody's ever refuted this. If everybody was just the one thing, life would just be boring, It would just get dull.
Yeah.
But we keep changing, we keep evolving. That is the absolute beauty of it. We've got
I think that just
8.5 minutes
kind of
left.
circles back nicely back to what we were saying before about people. What was the term we used earlier on?
Agnostic.
No,
Atheist.
when we were on about the groupings, people grouping themselves or
Yeah.
Identities and stuff, and character.
Yeah, that's it. I think things like that I do understand to a certain degree, to be fair, because it does bring that element of individualism,
Yeah.
and it is who you are and who you feel you are. So that's how I feel about that scenario. And it's like, because at the end of the day, it's who you are, and it does bring that individualism,
Yeah.
and it brings that sense of that you are your own being.
Yeah.
And very similar to our conversations about religion, where it's like you said, you choose to believe in the Christian God, and that's an element of yourself, which within just general population makes you individual because you put your faith in that. Whereas me, on the other hand, kind of just places it in as many bowls as they can put it in.
Cover all the bases.
Yeah, cover all the bases, and you're all good. That's my point of view.
Yeah.
It'd probably work at the end of the day.
I mean, just be nice to everyone. Again, it comes back. Just be nice to everyone.
Yeah, that's the beauty. Most of the doctrines
just
of
be
modern
nice.
religions is just be nice to people. So
The
you can
lesson
cover most of the bases
the
just by
day
doing
is
that.
Just be nice.
Like, just treat everyone with respect, no matter where you come from, what you believe in,
Who they are.
like, what you like. It's just, obviously, if like you're a Nazi, then it's fair enough. Hate yourself, hate them. And that's obviously fair.
But the thing is, if you hate them, that probably will just increase their hate. Maybe love is what they need to be shown, because if you look at a lot of these groups and stuff, they're always built on hate. So if you just give them more hate, they're going to start justifying it, and then you start showing hate to the Nazis, which is rightful. They are an awful people. But
I think we should just hate the Nazis, period.
Well, yeah, maybe, but maybe that would make it worse, though. Yes. That's the thing. Maybe hate is what's actually making all these problems. Because if you look at the separation of like political ideas, anyway, like non-extreme, like just left and right, it's built on hate as well. And I think that's what the governments want, is for us to hate each other.
That nicely fits in with the saying, what goes around comes around.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is literally what you just described, the whole Nazis and stuff. Like, that is literally the definition of that saying. Which is a good saying to, like, stick around with.
Yeah.
If you're nice to someone may be nice to you. Like,
yeah.
Just make someone's day. Yeah.
Historically, it was the rest of the Allies' hatred of the Germans after World War One that actually led to the events of the rise of the Nazi Party.
Exactly. Every major bad thing is fueled by hate, and hate only makes it bigger. That's why we just need to start loving more.
Who caused the First World War was actually really France, Britain, and the United States of America.
Yeah, that's what I always kind of thought. I feel like it was kind of like a joint, Obviously, if we treated them better, they wouldn't have given a rise to, the big A. None of that would have happened.
Yeah.
And then, obviously it is his fault entirely that he did that, but he probably wouldn't have been in that position if we hadn't have treated them so badly.
If at the table at the Treaty of Versailles, rather than people going, we despise Germany for technically not causing a war,
and forcing them to say that they
causing
did
a war, and we treat Germany not as a state or as Kaiser Wilhelm II, who was a bit of a prick, but as the German people, maybe we shouldn't rip them of their dignity.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It comes back to the whole adage of just treat people with respect. And it's like, yes, people make mistakes. A lot of people do. A lot of them, a lot of them big mistakes. Yeah, exactly.
It's inhumane to be perfect.
Exactly.
Like,
just comes back to respect.
And also the thing of like Germany and stuff. Like, my bet is the majority of the soldiers had no idea what they were doing. Like, they were just following the command. Like, what all good soldiers do. They follow commands.
Yeah, good soldiers follow orders.
Good soldiers do follow orders. It's known. And
yeah, Star Wars said it best.
Yeah. Treating those people that have no idea what's going on as one, and the main person who started it all in that group, it's just wrong to do, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually gives a very tasty little.
We have gone throughout the entirety of time in this podcast.
Yeah, we so have. I'm going to struggle editing. I'm going to struggle titling. So yeah, that gives a perfect roundup to it. Actually, we're coming right to the very end of the time. That actually gives a perfect ending, perfectly rounded up. Just be nice to people. Take that message home today. That's the message of the day. Just be nice to people. Be respectful. At the end of the day, that's all it takes for a long and happy world. So I will bid you all adieu. This has been the Roundtable. Thank you very much for listening.